It is scrunchie making time. So these are all the scrunchies I made. These are some jumbo scrunchies that I made from an old skirt. So let's get started. So you're gonna need fabric, elastic, a chopstick, scissors, needle and thread or a sewing machine. So I'm gonna cut my fabric. I'm just gonna measure 24, so 2 feet by 5 to 6 inches, depending how fluffy you want your scrunchie to be. If you want it fluffier, then you can make it 6 inches to 7 inches. If you want it skinny, you can make it 4 inches, but you want it around 24 inches long. Maybe a little more if you want more volume, but it does get heavy. So I'm just gonna take my scissor and I'm gonna cut away. There's my cut fabric. I'm just gonna turn it in half like this, right sides facing together. And you're gonna sew a seam from here to here, leaving around 2 to 3 inches on each side. That's how you're gonna make your scrunchie neat. So leave these openings over here. So I'll be back. So I sewed the seam right here and I drew a pencil line so you can see kind of where I started and ended because I used white thread. And now you're just gonna turn it inside out, or right side out, I guess. The easiest way to do it is just stick your fingers through, and because it's a jumbo scrunchie, it actually is pretty fast. So now that everything is inside, right side out, you're going to sew these seams. Don't mind this is that it's finished because this was a tablecloth, so I didn't undo that seam, but you're gonna sew these two together. And this is what makes it super neat looking. And I'm gonna run this through the sewing machine. Okay, so I ran a seam just straight across here. So this is what it looks like right now. So it kind of looks like a scrunchie. And now you gotta take your 6-inch rubber band and you're going to, this is my 6-inch rubber band, and you're going to have to string that across. So I feel like the easiest way to do that is I take a chopstick, my rubber band, or my rubber, and, or my elastic, I should say, and I will tie it like that, and then I'm just going to put it through and see, find it right here. So it's like that. And then we will take the rubber band out. You gotta be sure to hold these two and take out your chopstick, and now it is sewn through, and you can either tie it into a knot, or I actually run it through the sewing machine and sew these two pieces together so there's no bumps. So actually I am going to now you put these two together, and I'm just gonna hand stitch it. And this is my elastic, and I basically am gonna take my entire scrunchie and I'm gonna flip it like this, so that the entire scrunchie is kind of tucked in on itself. And I'm going to run a seam on my sewing machine, starting from the seam. So I have a seam over here, and I'm just going to run it all the way, and I'm just going to leave like this much space, enough space so that I can stick my fingers in here and grab out the rest of the scrunchie. If you seal this, you will not be able to turn your scrunchie back right side out. So let me go run my seam and I'll show you. Okay, so I ran my seam from here to here, and it looks like a little empanada now. And then I can stick my fingers in here. So I'm gonna take the scrunchie out now. Basically make it right side out. And then that way you only have this little hole to fill when you hand sew it. And it makes it a lot easier and neater so that everything will look nice and neat. And we'll trim all these strings, all that flipping back and forth. So now you're gonna you hand sew this part. I'm going to show you how to hand sew that so it's nice and neat. So you have this little hole here where you pulled everything through, and you're going to do a slip stitch, or it's kind of sometimes called a ladder stitch or a blind stitch, to seal this up. So to do that, and there's better tutorials out there on doing the stitch. You basically pull your thread through, you knotted it on one side, and you're just going to go directly, you're gonna go directly next to it and then go up like this, and then pull it back up, And then you're just gonna go directly next to it like this and pull it back up. So this is all tucked in. Go directly next to this fabric and you pull that through.
And do it multiple times to secure it.
And then if you want to hide the rest, just pull your thread all the way through like this, and then you're just gonna snip it like that. And then there you have your stitch. And this is your scrunchie. So I do like this method because all the seams look pretty neat. Usually the tutorials that you do, they just tell you to stitch it and then you hand stitch this part and it looks really messy. So there's only just a little bit of that slip stitch in this tutorial. Thanks for watching and bye now.